Now, detonate the reality bomb!
I will build a great, great wall.
Some alien race to come down and threaten us.
Is the singularity near?
The truth is out there.
The military-industrial complex.
The 7 mountains of the influencers of culture.
To be as gods,
Change has come to America.
Catapult of propaganda.
From a secure location on top of the ridge in the heart of the beautiful Missouri Ozarks, this is A View from the Bunker. Now, here's Derek Gilbert.
Last Wednesday, as we record this, a 19-year-old young man is accused of walking into his high school in Parkland, Florida, Stoneman Douglas High School, and opening fire with an AR-15. 17 people are now dead, 16 former students or former classmates of this young man, allegedly, and a security guard football coach who, we are told, placed himself in harm's way. There's an aspect of the story that's been reported by major media but not really analyzed, and that'll be the focus of our conversation here on A View from the Bunker. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining me, a gentleman who's normally, in past anyway, has talked about preparedness. Today it's a different type of preparedness. Spiritual preparedness, his forthcoming book, which is due at the printer any day now, or due back from the printer any day now. The Demonic Wars, Winning Our Lives Back and Regaining Ground. We welcome Ray-gano back to A View from the Bunker. Ray,
thank you, Derek.
Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, we're talking about the tragedy in Parkland, Florida, last week, Wednesday, where NIKOLAS CRUZ, 19-year-old who'd been expelled for, I guess, just one problem too many at the school there, is accused of going into the school, and it appears as though he's not denying the charges. He's been charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder. But the aspect, the part of the story that surprised me a little bit to see the major media reporting on this, although what they did with it didn't surprise me, was ABC News, which broke the story that he had told police that during the shootings, Cruz said he was hearing from voices that he described as demons, giving him instructions on how to proceed, how to shoot and kill his former classmates. Fox News picked up on it, other major media outlets, but most of them just put that up as a piece of evidence to show that Cruz is crazy, that he should have been confined, that he was off his meds, he should have been something like that. Yeah. As Christians, we should view this a little differently, I think. And this is where your book is sadly more timely than you had planned, I think. First things first, I mean, do you believe, assuming that the reports are accurate, do you believe NIKOLAS CRUZ was actually hearing from demons?
I actually do, and one of the reasons is that NIKOLAS CRUZ is showing remorse, and he's been apologetic. And that's something, a trend that I see with a lot of people who are demonized. They will do stuff, and then they apologize. They'll do something bad, feel, oh man, why did I do that? And then they're profusely being guilted or feeling guilty and stuff. So I've seen that. But then also having so many voices, what happens is when people are demonized, they do hear a lot of voices. It's almost like having, being able or not being able to tell the forest from the trees. They are just being inundated with voices and voices. And so they almost lose identity with self or themselves, and they start believing the voices, thinking the voices are themselves. But they're not. But the voices just torment and just hammer you. And it's some of the stories that people tell me, it's just, I feel for these people and everything, but they're...
Well, let me interject, because it's a little counterintuitive. It almost, when you, what you described, that the evidence of the presence of these demonic voices is that he felt remorse later. I mean, it may seem counterintuitive to people listening, say, well, now, wait a minute, how does that make sense? Why would he feel guilt or remorse if he was actually demonically possessed or oppressed?
Because he was not in control of himself, and yet he did something. And it's because he was listening to the voices. I call it entertaining the demons. When you entertain the demons and you listen to the voices and start doing what they're telling you to do, all of a sudden you're going to kind of wake up out of that. And I don't want to say it's a dreamlike state or anything like that, but you're acting almost on instinct, and you're not really paying attention. You're almost in autopilot mode. but the demons are telling you what to do, and you're just going along as almost like a robot. And then finally, when you gain consciousness of yourself, not saying that you were asleep or but when you finally come to the realization of your actions, and it's like, oh my goodness, that was me doing that. And you feel like you're, it's something else. You're just doing what something else did. But then you wake up to the realization, it's like, oh my goodness, that was me. I can't believe that I did it. And then the remorse comes in, the guilt comes in. And that's usually how the demons do work. They work on the sin or the pleasure or the whatever it is for that moment. And then when you come to the realization, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that. Another example is, some guy at work, he's working at the computer and everything, and all of a sudden pops over to a porn site, starts watching porn. And then he comes to the realization, like, oh my goodness. And he turns it off. And it's like, I was just watching porn. Why was I doing that? So you start doing things that you don't really understand why. Now, again, yes, we can't blame everything on demons. The devil made me do it. But there are some issues of the flesh. But the demons know our weaknesses like never before. And they're leveraging it, especially against Christians. And it's just, the things that I'm having with all the people and everything, it's amazing to me how you lose kind of to the self because you're choosing to entertain demons. And it gets to the point where you're no longer choosing. You become almost hardwired, and the demons, and you're not possessed. You truly are not possessed, but you're being strongly influenced, strongly oppressed. Because if you don't kind of do what the demons say, they just hammer you. I mean, torment you mentally. I mean, some of the people, they're in tears. Ray, you don't understand. It's like, yeah, I do understand. Believe me, I do understand. But you've got to fight it. But was Cruz? Yes, he displays a lot of the same symptoms of the people that I've been helping. And so that tells me that he has a demon infestation problem. I think it's real. I think he's there.
Well, now, let's address this, because a question I think a lot of people would want to know the answer to as Christians. Can Christians be possessed, and what's the difference between possession and oppression?
Great question. I do not believe Christians can be possessed. And I offer up the doctrine of eternal security for that. Good thing to do is take a Sharpie, a permanent marker, and write the word me in your hand. Now, once you write me in your hand, try tipping your hand over. Does the me fall out? No. Punch the me. Does it, is it gone? No. Wash the me. Is it gone? No. Do anything you want to the me. The me is still there. So you're still in the hand of God. Does the me have the ability to pick itself out of the hand? No. It can't leave the hand.
Right.
And so this is a very, basic form or idea or analogy of the doctrine of eternal security. Once we are a Christian, we are God's possession. So he possesses us. Christians who are, if you're truly born again, you cannot be possessed by the enemy because God possesses you. Another good analogy is, imagine us as being the temple of Israel. The Holy of Holies is where our Holy Spirit resides. Can anybody or anything go in? No. Can we take the Holy Spirit out of the Holy of Holies? No. Can demons enter the inner court? Maybe. I'm still hesitant of that. But a great example is looking at the outer court, or the court of the Gentiles, where the money changers were. And what did Christ do to the money changers?
Yeah, he drove them out.
Yeah, and so I kind of
made out of cords.
Yeah, I kind of equate that to being demonized. The temple was demonized by money changers, and it severely upset Christ to the point where he drove them out. He exorcised the temple and eradicated the money changers, got them out. And that's what kind of Christ does to us when we are demonized and we finally submit to him, and he drives out the demons. It's his authority that the demons are afraid of, not us. So it's Christ then who comes in and eradicates the demons from us.
So like the sons of Sceva in the book of Acts who tried to cast out demons on their own authority. If we try to do it, we'll wind up in the same sort of situation. Beat up naked in the street. Wondering what the heck just happened.
Yeah.
The people that you work with, is there a common characteristic between them? I mean, is there something that's common to all of them that might explain why they are dealing with demons the way they are?
One of the primary things that I see in a lot of people is that they've been traumatized at a young age, and a lot of them, I mean, a good number of the people that I work with were sexually traumatized. So what happens is they've basically an incubus or a succubus has attached itself to them. It's what is it? Sexually transmitted demon. They have an STD. and so the person who abused this child, a lot of times a demon will be passed on to the recipient, because that's what I'm kind of seeing as the pattern. But they're traumatized, and 90% of the people that I'm working with are dealing with incubuses and succubuses, and now are to the point, and a lot of people are. Your next question is like, how do they know? They know because demons are literally sexually abusing them physically. And I don't know if this is a PG-13 or R-rated show, but I mean, some of the women are actually being penetrated. Same with some of the men. I mean, these demons are sexually doing stuff there, and this isn't pleasurable. The demons are raping them.
And this is something that 500 years ago, that people who had a supernatural worldview understood what was going on.
Totally.
But today in our modern world, well, if they acknowledge it at all and say, well, this is just sleep paralysis, or it's aliens, extraterrestrials.
Extraterrestrial, right?
Right, because this is an aspect of that particular phenomenon. And this I find really interesting, because trauma and the efforts by elements within the intelligence community after World War II to try to come up with a way to create the Manchurian Candidate, used trauma and the effects on the human psyche to create I guess we used to call it multiple personality disorder. Now it's dissociative identity. We'll create this kind of a response. And I, in fact, asked a researcher of the occult, Peter Levenda, at one point. I said, it sounds to me like what you're describing is a demonically infused or demonically possessed Manchurian Candidate. And he said, well, yeah, in a way, that's kind of what was going on here.
Well, let me actually address, because there are people out there that are part of the deliverance ministry that see dissociative
identity disorder, right? Yeah,
did as being demonic. It isn't. It is truly not demonic. What it is a coping mechanism,
right?
And
body protecting itself from trauma.
Yeah. So what it does is it usually brings about a second personality or third personality, and that personality is a strong personality against that sort of certain trauma. I was actually working with a woman, and I turned her down because she wasn't a Christian, but I was doing initial interviews with her, and she did. And it was interesting to talk to her because I would talk to her, but then talk to her alt. And I say, well, can I talk to, so-and-so? And she goes, okay. And the so-and-so personality would come through, and I would talk to her very strong. And she was severely sexually abused. She was raped multiple times, things like that. So the alt did not like men, did not trust men, and actually looked to hurt men and kind of take revenge because she, her other was abused so badly. But did is not a demonic issue. So, and if you try to be casting out the alt, you're going to actually do more damage to the individual.
It's interesting because I've heard others say the same thing.
Yeah.
And coming in and assuming that somebody who's dissociative is demonized is not necessarily true, and you can actually cause more harm than good. But it is, I think, significant though that trauma can result in demonization at the same time. This dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah, there are three primary ways that demons enter, and one is extreme trauma, and that could, and a lot of times that's physical abuse. The second is sexual trauma, and that's usually rape or being sexually abused. And then third is the occult. And that's being involved with the occult and occultic practices and occultic ceremony. Russ Dizdar does a lot of that.
Yeah.
I kind of not play in that arena. I'm just not comfortable. I mean, if people come to me with that issue, I will help them and everything. But I would rather push them to Russ because Russ has more area.
That's his area of expertise.
Yeah, is right. That where I find I'm really. And I hate to say it's just the average, ordinary, demonized person, and that. But the thing is that these are people that are kind of overlooked. They're being sacrificial abuse or occultic abuse. That's the one that's getting all the limelight and everything. Right. Where sexual or just common trauma, a lot of people just pat you on the back. Just suck it up and you can hang. Just. Pray to God and read your Bible and you'll be okay. Yeah. And yet these people are suffering greatly, and the church doesn't know how to deal with it, especially because of the sexual trauma. They don't want to believe in incubus and succubus, and that these people are literally being sexually abused, raped in the middle of the night, and there's nothing that they can do about it. And I mean, I had this one person talking to me about how this, and she said she saw her sitting on the floor playing with a doll, little maybe 8-year-old skin and bones looking demon with stringy blonde hair and a red dress. And it started talking to the person, and the person was responding back and everything. And then the person said something that the demon didn't like. But then she remembers that she was literally wrestling and fighting with this demon for about 3 hours. And I said, how can you know it was 3 hours? And she says, I saw, and that's why the demon was upset, because the demon was playing with her clock on the nightstand. And the person was saying, don't do that. Don't mess with my clock. And finally the demon got upset, and she was battling this demon, and it literally terrified her to the point where she was afraid to sleep at nights. And I remember one time, she messaged me and said, Ray, please pray for me right now because I am going to take a nap. I haven't taken a nap in eons because she was terrified to take a nap. And so these are the things that, and a lot of times you just think, this is just a bad kid, or it's a, troubled child or troubled person, or, they're just a little off, and
right,
a few French fries short or whatever,
Right. If we get them into counseling or get them on the right medication, that we can control it, they'll be fine.
But it isn't. They're demonized, and I see society and the church as a whole just overlooking these people. Yeah.
You said something before we began broadcasting, and I wanted to address this because this relates to the ministry, the sister ministry of Skywatch TV, which is Whispering Ponies Ranch. And this comes back to the incident last week with NIKOLAS CRUZ. Again, he was given up for adoption when he was a child and went through the foster care system before his adoptive mother passed away last fall. Again, police said that they had been called out to the house something like 36 times. That's every 10 days.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in a house, even with a troubled kid. I mean, every 10 days for an entire year is a lot of trouble. What is it, the role of foster care? What role might that have played in what NIKOLAS CRUZ has apparently become?
Well, actually, it's interesting now that I think about it. I'm working.
And again, I just want to be very clear to viewers and listeners. I don't want to cast any aspersions on his adoptive parents, his adoptive mother. We don't know. Sometimes even with good parents who do their best and genuinely love their children, both natural born children, their genetic children, biological children, or adoptive children, genuinely love them. Sometimes the children will just turn out badly regardless. So I don't want to, try to diagnose specifically what happened in the case of NIKOLAS CRUZ here.
Yeah, but there are bad seeds. I mean, that's
right. But it's all statistically. It's also there are some statistics that are difficult, that are impossible to ignore regarding foster children.
I'm working with one individual, and he was adopted, and it's interesting. It's now coming back to me in my brain, but he was adopted. But he did have, he remembers going through the foster care problems or homes, but that was where he was traumatized. He was sexually traumatized in the foster home before his adoptive parents adopted him. And it's interesting. We've been talking, and he's, part of my methodology is journaling, or what I call your garbage list, writing down your garbage list, finding these things and asking God to bring these things forward, because the battle is in the mind. And if you clear out the garbage, the rats will leave. And it's kind of the analogy that I use. And if you're able to, and that's how you're able to get rid of most of the demons. But there's some garbage that you really need God to kind of bring forward so that you remember it. And so we've been working together now for about 3 months, and it's interesting. He wrote me probably about 3 weeks ago, and he goes, "Ray, I had a recessed memory come forward," and he goes, "I remember this person raped me when I was a little boy in the foster home, and it was a man." So he says, I totally forgot that happened. And I said, well, let's add this to your garbage list. Let's really dig down deep and drill into this, and let's try to remember every detail that you can remember and write it down. And the reason I have everybody do this, or who are working my methodology, is the devil is in the details. And if you don't uncover or don't shine the light on every piece of garbage that you can at that moment as you're writing things down, what's going to happen is the garbage that is left in the corner is going to attract rats or to grow or be an infestation of sorts. But him having this repressed memory come forward, it was kind of an epiphany for him. And he goes, "Ray, I'm free of this now. This demon is gone because of this." And it's interesting, when a demon leaves coughing, spitting, vomiting, drooling, nose running, heavy sighs, screams, crying, long urination, going diarrhea, explosive poo.
Wow. Wow.
These are all things that a lot of my people have experienced when a demon leaves the body.
Wow.
Or another thing too is just and I don't want to say the use of there's a lightness. You feel something literally just like come out of your pores, out of your whole body, and leave. It's like a spirit just lifting out of you, and all of a sudden you feel free. There's a lightness about you. And so I had this one married couple that I've been working with, and it was funny. Her husband, I've been walking him through the deliverance. He was helping her get delivered, and she was throwing up and everything. And so he says, "Oh, I had to stop because I got to put her to bed because she was just throwing up and everything." And I go, "Dude, no, the demons are leaving. She needs your help right now to help this demon get out. It's like right there." Because he was describing, he says she's complaining about her throat and she's trying to throw up, and I got her in bed. I go, "Dude, let her throw up. Pray over her right now." And she did. And the demon left, and when it leaves, you know it. The people who are oppressed or depressed or being influenced, they feel it. It's not there anymore. The voice ain't there anymore. And one of the things I have people do too is ask the demon its name and command it to give its name to you, so that, because once you know a demon's name, you have power over it. And well, my demon is fear. Well, you can now command fear to leave. Hey, I now, rebuke you, fear. I bind you, fear. But fear now, I command you in the name of Jesus to leave me. I cast you out at the at the feet of Christ. I have people cast out at the feet of Christ instead of commanding them to the pit. Because when you command the demons to the pit, even though a lot of people do that, you can kind of become prideful. Oh, I'm commanding demons to the pit.
Yeah.
Whereas if you command the demons to the feet of Christ, let Christ deal with them.
Right.
And things. But so
let me ask you this, because this is something, because I've also heard others in deliverance ministry say, don't engage the demons and talk.
No.
Don't ask them questions.
Yeah.
Don't ask them their name.
No.
Because you never know. I mean, they're lying all the time.
Yeah.
Why do you approach it differently?
That's an excellent question. I mean, one, you do need to. There are some information that you do need. You need to know the name. You need to know what you're dealing with. Are you dealing with a strongman demon, or are you dealing with some of the minions? And so you need to ask some information. What you don't want to do is like, well, what's going to happen tomorrow? Or what was it like back in Noah's day? You don't want to be engaging the demon like that, entertaining the demon. When there's gathering information, and then there's entertaining the demon. And it's kind of a fine line.
Yeah.
And what you don't want to do is entertain the demon, but you do need information to get it out. So you do need that, and it is important because, I mean, you can do it without and just say, demon, I command you. But when you have that sort of information, it's more direct and more, that you're dealing. Because when a person is demonized, we read in Scripture where Christ was talking to the guy who had legion in him.
Yeah, the Gadarene or Gerasene.
He had, a legion is 5,000 soldiers. That means this guy had at a minimum 5,000 demons. Well, who's the strong man? I mean, that means that he has multiple strong men in him. And when you don't know exactly who you're dealing with, the demons are legal bastards, and they will cut hairs or split hairs with you. And so when you say, demon, I command you to leave, oh, you're talking to that demon. You're not talking to me. I don't have to listen to you because you're not really telling who to go. I mean, that's the way they are. They're legalistic. And so you have to learn to play the game with them. And take authority. Yeah. It's a total authority issue. I'm not going to come around and say, "Hey, you." I'm going to say, Derek, and take authority. So, and that's what you have to do with the demonic.
Now, you talk about casting him at the feet of Christ and taking authority. Drill down on that for just a moment, because I want to be clear that. Where does the authority come from when you're in a confrontation against, whether it's dealing with demonic possession or oppression? Where does our authority come from?
Our authority comes from Christ. Demons laugh at us. They think we're jokes.
So if we try on our own,
and we severely fail.
Sons of Sceva again,
severely fail. I mean, and this is another thing too. If you're in the deliverance ministry, you need to have your own slate being clean, because what you don't want to be is sitting in a crowd and all of a sudden some demon I don't want to say possession, but speaking through a person and say, "Hey, you did this," or "Hey, you." Now, do they do that? Yes, because they're great liars, and that's when you command them to just be quiet, hush up, be quiet. You are lying right now. I command you to be quiet in the name of Jesus Christ. Hush, and they will, but so they play that. Now, you asked a question real good, and I didn't answer it. How do you know they're lying?
Yeah.
Carl Payne, who I hold in high regards, wrote a book on deliverance. And it's part of my deliverance methodology is based on another guy named Derek Prince, and then also a gentleman named Francis McNutt. Payne is Baptist. McNutt comes out of the Catholic, who is now Protestant. And Derek Prince was Pentecostal. And so I have these three methodologies of what I've kind of done is pull all the good stuff out. And, I hate to say that I've experimented, but I experiment on myself. Okay, what do I see? What do I feel? Is this working with me? And I'm not demonized or anything like that. And then I start working with individuals doing this methodology. And I found this methodology to be very successful. And it works. And in my book, in the beginning of the book, you can read some of the people who I've helped, and they've gladly, oh yeah, this has totally helped me. I mean, Ray's got it. I don't know why nobody's doing this.
Yeah.
And it's nothing on me.
Well, but that's the thing we've been hearing from people like Russ Dizdar, Michael Cummins, who is in deliverance ministry in the UK, a friend of Laura Maxwell's.
Yeah.
Have said the same thing, that the church is just not doing this. They're not taking it seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Reverend Dr. Robert Bennett, a Lutheran, which is not now he's Missouri Synod. I want to be very clear. He's not ELCA, which is the denomination I came out of, which is barely Christian anymore, if you can still even use that term.
Yeah.
But it's not a denomination that's known for taking this seriously, and yet that was his doctoral dissertation once he realized in Madagascar that this was something that people over there saw, recognized, and dealt with effectively. And when he started digging into the theology of it, from Luther and going all the way back to the apostles, like, this is biblical, this is scriptural, and we in the church need to be doing this. So,
what we forget too is, and this is something you've covered greatly in your books, is that Peter, Paul, Christ, all the people back in those days and everything, demons were around everywhere. It was a common day, everyday occurrence.
Right.
And so when you kind of read between the lines in scriptures, Peter may not be calling this out right away, but that's what he's talking about because they dealt with it. It was,
And in part, it was because of the, and this is goes back to Dr. Michael Heiser's work in the concept of holy ground.
Yeah.
They were they were basically trying to hold on to what God had declared was His.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons Jesus was and the apostles were going to cast him out, basically saying, "Hey, get off my lawn."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm being flippant, but that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
We got a lot more ground that we can cover here, but I know you're on a limited schedule because you got a flight to catch, and I know Christina and Josh want to catch you in the broadcast studio for a bit there. So I'm just going to recommend for you viewing and listening that you watch Ray's website, ray-gano.com, for the book, The Demonic Wars, Winning Our Lives Back and Regaining Ground. And you will also be giving a presentation, or rather a workshop, not a presentation, a workshop, which I think is awesome, that we're actually hands-on workshop on spiritual warfare dealing with demonic entities at the Hear the Watchman conference in Dallas.
Yeah. In fact, they've given me the large room.
Yeah.
So I'm looking really forward to this. So hopefully I have a lot of people come and attend my workshop. And
if
I'm excited.
Video, it'll be available on the video feed.
Tickets. Get tickets.
Yeah.
Gano 20.
That's it. Hear the Watchman Conference, March 22nd through the 25th at Grapevine, Texas. It's at the Hilton DFW Lakes Conference Center, very close to the airport there in Dallas. But if you can't be there, they do have a video feed. It's not live. It's basically like tape delayed. Once the presentation is over, the workshop is over, the video will be uploaded to the website, a secure website. But again, save $20 off the registration for the conference with Gano 20 or Gilbert 20, whichever. Raise a guest, use Gano 20. Or 20% off the video feed for the conference. Same way. HearTheWatchmen.com is the website. And again, your website, and this has been a shift because you were at prophazine.com. It's all shifted over to ray-gano.com.
I'm shifting everything over to ray-gano.com because I'm kind of, not that I don't like Bible prophecy. I love Bible prophecy, but Prophazine was just kind of really focusing on Bible prophecy. And I've seen that God has really opened me up to Bible prophecy, world events, preparedness, and now deliverance.
Yeah.
So it's just now becoming ray-gano.com. And so it's easier to remember. And,
sure.
If you want to find me on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Ray-Gano. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/Ray-Gano, ray-gano.com. I mean, all these, just type in Ray-Gano. But, folks, I will be putting this book on sale, hopefully in the next day or two, where you can pre-order. And when you pre-order, you're going to get the PDF. But once I get the books in, I'll be sending you autographed copies of them and getting them out to you.
So again, the conference coming up May 22nd through the 25th, Ray Gano's website, ray-gano.com. Maybe down in Dallas, we'll have some time, and I'll bring the equipment along, and we can record it a little bit longer of a stretch. Ray also featured in a Skywatch TV web exclusive. We talked about this, and also a daily update, which one of the 5 and 10 updates, which will already be online by the time you see this. So we looking forward to digging into the book. You were gracious enough to give us an advance copy, PDF form, so I'll be reading that over the next few days. But this is a field that the church is leaving open to the enemy.
Yeah, big time.
And sadly, there are
enemy is winning right now.
Yeah, and here in the United States, in the West, which has become increasingly secularized, and sadly, as it's become more secular, it's becoming more pagan.
Yeah.
The atheists, I'm sorry, Richard Dawkins, but this is not going to turn out to be a Star Trek atheistic future. It's becoming more pagan as it becomes less Christian. We should be addressing situations like this and recognizing evil in the work of the principalities and powers for what they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Ray, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Derek.
Look forward to the workshop. Again, ray-gano.com is the website. Check out the book. It should be available very, very soon after by the time you see this. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna cut right to the chase here, and we'll get right to the end rather than tag a long conclusion on this program. So I will jump right to the part where I say, please give us a like on Stitcher or the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Derek Gilbert, or wherever fine podcasts are sold. That's where you'll find us. Give us a like at iTunes. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/View from the Bunker, which is a production of Gilbert House and released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Got that memorized now. The opening theme is by Kevin MacLeod. His website is incompetech.com. The announcer, DC Good. Remember, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. With ray-gano, I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is A View from the Bunker.